Hello. I'm not sure what's going to be happening on coast though. Looks like Sander and Nick are practicing their drift tactics. Right.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Forgotten Stream. I am sorry, I forgot to turn on my microphone in OBS, so sort of missed the intro. Welcome to the grand finale of United League Reborn 4, played between Crazy Machine Chicks and Airven. Airven is two teams mixed into one. That is Reven and Air. Air stands for either Avengers Irresistibles Racers or Abrutis Infiniment Rapides, which, translated from French, is something like Infinitely Fast Fools. So I think we are in for a thriller of a match. We're going to play all 7 maps in a best of 7. And what are your predictions, Max?
Oh, well, it's going to be an insane level of driving here. Obviously, it's the top 2 teams in the league. We have legends of the game, Sander, Cybermix. Oh, here's Chemco just arrived for Coast. So predictions for who's going to win. Oof. I really don't know. I mean, yeah, I want to say CMC, but Airven are scary. You know this. What a lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. I would also want to say CMC, but I just don't have the confidence to claim it like that. Because we have so many legends of the game gathered here on the server tonight, and the amount of skill is just absolutely mental. And we also have 4 Giant Cup winners here, and they have, I think, 4 Giant Cup titles per team combined. That is obviously Zeus with 3 titles, Sander with only 1, against Lolomax with 2 and Toner with 2 as well. But we also have Sander, who has won United Solo Championship 3 earlier this year. And that was one of the most stacked events I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. Both teams have their stronger and weaker environments. And a couple of maps are going to be just thermonuclear.
I think people must be TAing here in warm-up. It looks like people are very crashy. I assume that's what's happening, rather than them being just slow. Otherwise, don't know how I would make it in the third. I mean, look at those times. That's not a promising start with those times, except for Sander, a 101 already.
Yes, Sander with a strong start right from the warm-up. I have some stats here. I think we're going to be starting with Coast. The world record is 101.49, which you can see in Dedimania. It was driven by Semco, who is playing for the Airven team. And I'm just looking at the best scores available for both teams and for the best scores they have on this map, and I would tend to favor Airven because they have on this map alone ratings of 963 for Semco, 9.3 for Tona and 8.59 for Clem. For Tona and Clem, that is also the best grade they got during the whole ULR4. And then on the CMC side, there's Roa with 932, Sander 859, and Neko, who is also going to be driving tonight, with 759. But we also have to note that the CMC drivers played their previous semi-finals match on Coast in 5 versus 5. So that is not quite 100% indicative of what they're going to do tonight.
But we are expecting Chemco or Semco, I'm not sure, to be probably leading the driver points on this one. I'll see what backup. He's obviously got very strong backup on this environment to help him get those round wins.
Absolutely, because Tona, to me, is known as one of the best Coast drivers of all, and Clem is also a very good Coast driver.
Well, and that's... It looks like they're calling for the start. Of course, with 7 maps to go, it's going to be a long evening, so people probably going to want to cut down on the amount of warm-up.
Yeah, that is perfectly reasonable. I see Izom is asking for map order. I think I actually do know it. It's Coast, Desert, Stadium, Island, Snow, Bay and Rally. And I see Quicksilver actually wrote that in the chat. Thank you, Quick. So, with only 3 rounds of warm-up, we're already ready to go. And this is going to be exciting, so yeah, once again, we're probably expecting Airven to take this, but CMCs won't go down without a fight.
Yeah, and this is Jumperjack's server that we're hosting on just now. He has 30 seconds of chat time set, so there's a little bit of dead time between maps, or even just restarts, as we often have between warm-up and starting. But like we're about ready to go.
Galba is using AFK command to go into spec, and we are going to go live on the Coast map Plozukur by Clem. And we are into round 1. Sander, Roa and Neko with a good start. But it is neck and neck between all 6 drivers. Nothing really separating the leaders from the losers. Ooh, a double big crash. I think that was Tona and Roa. We lost 2 players right there. Neko is still in the lead. He's followed closely by Semco and Clem. Sander a bit behind them. Tona didn't have it as bad as Roa apparently. So currently it is advantage Airven, and Not only Neko has to keep the position, but Sander needs to make up at least one. He has got just that, but Semco is fighting back. Let's see, it's going to be tight into the last corner, and Sander actually finishes second because Semco and, well, I believe Tone has crashed. No, that must have been Clem. What am I talking about? Right into the checkpoint. 1-2 and first blood to CMC.
Yeah, what a round. That's switched late in the game. Crashes can make the difference. Of course, these drivers are pushing hard, so they can wind up crash. They want every 10th, every 100th. Clement is dropped back by more than 200 hundredth. 300 now. So, I mean, he could claw back a position, but he's going to be relying on other people crashing. Semco is out front again. He doesn't quite have the backup from his teammates right now. They're only down by 1 point, so if Tona can get ahead of Neko, that'll switch it over to an Airven round, but at the moment it's CMC. And Semco is pulling out a handy lead. Is he risking too much? Sander makes a mistake. That lets Tona close up. Neko goes into second. Tona's going to be pushing hard on this last turn, and he slides. He had to risk it. He really did have to try. Didn't work out this time.
Yes, a good effort by Tona, but didn't quite manage to take the positions, and he actually let Roa finish in fourth, and that is, on paper, a comfortable round for CMC. I see the chat is still struggling with the map order. Let me repeat, that is Coast, Desert, Stadium, Island, Snow, Bay and Rally. We're into round 3 and Tona crashing at the start, but I missed Sander, who had crashed earlier, and he will now be fighting for 5th with Tona, as Semco and Clem are in the first 2 positions. Semco and Roa going a bit too wide on that metal ramp. None of them sliding out. Tona, I think, is very close to Roa, and unless the Airven drivers are going to start crashing, I don't see a way back into it for the red side. Neko is doing his best, but Roa is 4 seconds behind. Sander is 1.6 behind. He's crawling towards Tona's position, but he's not able to gain anything. 1-2, and that is a comfortable round for the Airven team. First round they take.
Yeah, 102.10 for Semco, not his fastest even. So he's worked his way in first place in the driver points there with a clear lead on times. 101.76, he's a second ahead of anyone else. So if he can keep that up and not crash, that's obviously going to make it a lot easier for his team. And that's what he's doing on this round. He's leading Tona. He makes a mistake there, loses some time, but it's not enough to lose first place. And it is an Airven round at the moment, but by 3 points. Okay, so we need a couple of positions. CMC need a couple of positions to change to switch it over. Neko and Clement fighting at the back, and well, Neko I think has a slight advantage, but it's not going to make a difference if Airven continue to hold positions 1 and 2. Sander's going to be pushing here. Can he get past Tona? Would it be enough? Neko coming up behind him. Roa's in last, so no matter what Sander did, they couldn't have managed. So again, Airven 1-2, and that brings us to 2-2 on rounds.
Yes, a bit too many mistakes on the CMC side. Roa also crashed towards the end or slid and finished last. We're into round 5. Roa and Sander with a slower start. Semco once again in the lead, but he makes a mistake and drops back. So let's see how far he's going to come back into this round. And it is very tight at the top and between 4 drivers, Roa following them closely. And he goes too wide onto the grass and lets Semko sneak into 5th, but Semko sliding once again. Let's switch to Tona, who is currently in 4th, he's following Sander and Neko, and Clem, who was in 2nd, also drifts and drops back behind Tona. So Sander and Neko only need to keep their positions, not crash. They do just that, and it is a 1-2 for the CMC side. 3 for 2.
Yeah, so CMC demonstrating that they can do the 1-2s as well. Again, that's a 13-8 win on that round. Well, this is as tight as we were expecting. And in fact, for driver points, we have Neko has drawn level with Semko. Semko's still way in the lead on times. Of course, it doesn't really count. It's just we're using it as an indicator of his speed. He's out ahead again. And this time, although Clement is in 3rd, that is enough, with Tona at the back, that is enough to get them a round win by 1 point. And Clement even is trying to get past Sander. Can he do it here? Oof, he can. Sander, I think, just turned in a bit too early or too hard there, lost a bunch of time, but Neko makes it in 2nd. Sander makes it into 3rd. Oof, but with Roa in last, that would be a loss by 1 point. And Tona with a 1:3:37 time there.
Yes.
That brings us to 3-3 this time.
A lead time indeed by Tona, and could have been a CMC round had Roa not finished last. Unfortunately he did. So by a single point, Airven take this round to tie the game up once again. Let's see, Semko, the keyboard player, once again with the quickest start of them all. Neko with a small mistake, dropping into last. And I think Tona made a mistake as well, but he's still in the mix. Clement is fighting his way into 2nd, but it is contested by Sander. Let's see how it's going to turn out. Nobody's out of this round just yet, but it is advantage Airven for sure. Clement sliding out, still not enough for CMC to get this round as things stand, because Semko is leading and Tona is 3rd. Neko makes a mistake. Let's see, Roa has to overtake Tona. Will he be able to do that? No, he isn't. 1-3-6, and that is sufficient for the Airven team to win the round. And 101 once again for Semko, the only one to dip below 102s.
Yeah, Roa missing out by 200ths there. And that was the difference between an Airven win and a CMC win on that round. So, CMC will have to fight back on this round, or will be wanting to. Oh, they've made it hard with Neko dropping back. He's a 2nd behind 1st place right now. And as we see them ride up a little bit on that bank. Oof. And 3 slides at the crest there. And that has put Semko with a pretty safe lead. He should just be able to go safe at the front there, whether he will or not. And Sander with another mistake. That was a weird one. I'm not even sure what happened there. Airven with a 1-2. And they have Neko and Roa are breathing down Clement's neck, but it's going to be tough to get past at this last couple of turns, and they don't make it. So that's again Airven with a 1-2, and they do now have a 2-point lead on rounds.
Yes, and I'm also corrected in the chat by Kukin, who says that Semco actually alternates between keyboard and gamepad on coast depending on the map. Interesting. I always thought that he was a... Ooh, a double crash there by Clement and Tona. I mean, Roa, sorry. And then Semco is in the lead once again. Sander with a crash, Semco with a small slide, and Neko out in front, followed closely by Tona. How are things looking behind them? That is two Airven drivers in hot pursuit, and Clement is in fourth, with Sander trying to overtake the mapper. Just about successful, but for that to work out he needs to keep this position. Neko needs to keep his first, and Roa has to overtake Clement, and he will not be able to do that. Another 11-10 round going the way of Airven.
Yeah, and they are tight. Lots of fights going on here where it can change, but this is map point for Airven. And they'll be hoping to close it out as quickly as they can, and Sander has given them good hope as he crashes and crawls up the hill. And that's a load of time, and that leaves it to Roa and Neko are going to have to get... They need at least a first place, and then a second or third. At the moment, Semco is out ahead. So they're going to have to risk, and Neko is risking, and he's making some progress, but Tona is making even more progress. And he sneaks into third. I don't know if he can hold on to it as Roa gets it back briefly. And this is looking good for Airven as Roa slides out. And now that's a pretty safe round for Airven, barring any disasters in these last two turns. And that is an Airven map win.
Yes, 7-3 for Airven. There were plenty of close rounds, but all of them went the way of Airven. Yeah, it is definitely unfortunate, but not quite unpredictable.
Yeah, I think that was 5 rounds in a row that Airven won. They went from 2-3 down to 7-3 up. With 3 11-10 rounds in amongst there. So, yep. Tight stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely closer than the score suggests. But yeah, it definitely turns out more as we expected. I also had a poll on Discord for people to vote on who they think is going to win. And the last time I checked, 62% of people who had voted said CMC. Let's see how correct that prediction is going to be. We're into map 2, it is Desert. The map is called Digital Tension Dementia, a map built by Zeus, a CMC driver. Let's see what he's going to do there in warm-up. And then what do we have? A world record of 102.36 driven by Neko. And on paper, I think I would favor CMC, because they had 2 over 9 scores. That was 954 for Sander and 907 for Zeus. Both of them drove their best desert matches of ULR4 on this map. Neko only managed 876 in the semi-finals, which is not something you would expect from him. But his highest ever performance on desert was 968, which I believe is the second best on desert. But it was first for quite a while. As for the Airven guys, only Oxide went above 9 in the semi-finals, and that was 911. And then Lolomax and Tona had 869 and 834 respectively. So I would be expecting to see these 6 drivers once again. And also for Oxide and Tona, those were their best performances of the whole ULR4 on Desert. Lolomax's best score was 927. And since Lolomax is notorious for being a great desert driver, I think we can in theory expect him to get better.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We're looking obviously at past performances with those figures, and we don't really know how much training that they've done over the last week. And of course, there's plenty of potential for variation in performance, just day by day, or even in between qualifying session and the match. There can sometimes be big differences.
Yes, indeed. I also wanted to mention a couple of critical points on this map. First of all, the loop, and I would say the loop. It is preceded by this chicane and then a 90 left into a booster right into the loop. And if you get this 90 left a bit wrong and go a bit too much on the 2 wheels over this booster, you're going to lose a lot of speed, like Neko here. Drop off the loop and respawn there, and you are going to lose a lot of time. I hope Neko is not going to do that in the match, but that was a perfect demonstration.
I mean, that loop is like Neko's nemesis. He really does not like it.
Oh yes, indeed. And there's also this off-road, well, 180, you would say, I guess. Also a tricky turn where you have to keep as much speed as you can, and I think there are some gear tricks involved. I'm not 100% sure. Desert, unfortunately, isn't my best environment, so...
Wait for you at? Is that the... which turn?
The off-road turn.
At the start.
No,
Yeah,
not at the start. Somewhere in the middle, I think.
Okay.
But anyways, with three rounds.
I think I know the turn you mean. It's not a gear trick. It's you just want to not slide is the key thing. So you have to slow down before it and just drive through it smoothly. If you go in too fast, you slide and lose a bunch more time.
Yeah, I guess that could be the correct explanation. And we are going to go live. And the lights are out, and away we go. And Zeus and Sander with a quick start, and Neko is also right there with them. Let's watch the hero Lolomax. Neko dropping some time on that turn. Let's see the off-road. Lolo taking or carrying a lot more speed than Zeus. So he did close the gap, and Sander is out in front, and Lolomax fighting Zeus. And Neko only 5th, I think, at the moment. But no, somebody must have been killed by the loop. That would have been Oxide, and Zeus has crashed. So that is Sander out in front from Lolo from Neko. But we are past the loop, and nothing that is Neko uncomfortable with. We are... Ooh, Lolomax had to respawn. And now it is Sander with a good time of 1:03.57, followed by Neko. And that is enough to secure the round win.
Yeah, that was very crashy. Can the nerves be showing? I mean, all these drivers are very experienced. Our newest player is probably Neko, and we'll see if he can hold it together on this one again. So yes, a nice 1-2 for CMC on that one, and we have Zeus out front this time. Let's see if he can stay out of the barriers, and no bad slides on that dirt. We do have Oxide as 9 seconds back. So, what is CMC's strategy if they have seen that? And I think most drivers do play with the HUD on, so they're probably aware of the position. And they're in 1-2-3 at the moment, so it's not like they've eased off. Lolo is threatening them, but can't quite make it yet. That transition from the dirt onto the road has potential for bumps, but they all know the line. It seems that they can take it safely, and now CMC's 1-2-3 looks fairly safe. Oof. The way they bounce onto two wheels there always looks risky. They held it together. And that was 3 103s in this round.
Yes, a hat trick for CMC there, and Neko stealing the round win from Sander by 200th of a second. And that is so far a comfortable 2-0, and Neko and Sander both on 11 points. Let's see if the French guys have any more fight in them. And you said Neko is the least experienced. I guess that would be correct in terms of league experience, but in terms of Trackmania experience in general, I think Tona would be the newest guy here. And I think Oxide must have crashed as well once again, because he's 11 seconds behind, and Lola crashes right before the loop, and Tona was 2 seconds behind. And I guess he still is. Yes, that is correct. But we have a CMC duo of Sander and Zeus, the joystick drivers, out in front, followed by Neko. And unless they do something extremely foolish, they are going to take another round. Yes, they do. A double 103, followed by Neko's 104.27. And that is pretty comfortable so far for CMC.
Yeah. So all the Airven drivers had a crash there. Sometimes good to get all your crashes out of the way. And we'll be expecting these guys to settle their nerves and settle into the map a bit more. I wonder if they just wanted some more warm-up. Anyway, Sander dropping back at the start there is a tight line at the start. He just didn't quite have it. It's going to the dirt turn. Again, everyone trying to take it as smooth as they can. Iron out the corner. All successful, and I hear Zeus's horn going. So he must be feeling confident, and it looks like he knocked out Lolo there. Lolo Max. Ooh. And Airven make it into 1-2 after the loop. And that is a winning position for them, although here come Neko, in fact all the CMCs come steaming past Tona. He does try to fight back, but he just can't get the 4 wheels onto the booster correctly. Zeus crashes out, but with Neko in the lead, and Oxide crashes. Oof, that's gotta hurt, because he was doing a good round there, but Neko, Sander take a 1-2 for CMC, and Zeus trailing in last, not far behind. Just didn't matter. Still a CMC round, and that's 4-0. Wow, this is unexpected.
Yes, indeed. With that lineup, you would expect Airven to show a bit more resistance. Zeus doing the loop noob and then crashing, trying to regain some positions. And Oxide, I think, is going for some bad performances there. Ooh, I think we had mistakes from Zeus and Oxide, but The other 4 drivers are still in it. Let's see, Lolo for a mix is out in front, followed by Neko and Sander. Let's see, is this loop going to claim any victims this round? Not among the leading 4 drivers. Neko and Sander are desperately trying to overtake Lolomax. Ooh, Tona with a mistake. Let's switch to the leaders. Sander manages to sneak past Lolo and Neko too, but Lolo definitely not giving up just yet. And slightly better lines there from Neko, and well, he did ride the finish ramp with the bottom of his car. Lost a position, but that won't matter too much, because that is another comfortable round for CMC. And Sander actually with the fastest time of the match so far.
Yeah, Sander and Neko are way out ahead on player points there. See Tona taking the standard line at the start there. He had on the previous round taken the alternate line. I'm not sure why. Maybe he just felt he wasn't quite lined up properly for the other line, which is, I think, slightly faster, although he had made it work pretty well. So, oof, and Tona gains a load of time on that loop, although he does exit with lower speed. I wonder what exactly strategy he was using there. It was intriguing. But Neko out ahead with Sander chasing tight, and Tona making a mistake just before the boost there, sliding and loses a load of time. And another mistake lets Zeus get into third. Must be a CMC 1-2-3 on this one, it looks like it. And brings us to map point already.
Yes, a map point. Neko with 103.32, stamping his TA authority. Still 2 points behind Sander. Let's see what they're going to do in the 7th and potentially last round. And I think Oxide is going for the lowest score of the season so far, at least on the personal scale. We had some mistakes from the Airven drivers at the start, and Zeus makes a mistake as well. Oxide going a bit too wide on this off-road turn. Sander and Neko are first and second. Ooh, as I say that, Neko crashes out. Let's see, Sander still first, Tona making it safely through the loop. And I think we have, well, we had 2 CMC drivers in last positions, but they swapped that with Lolomax and Oxide. Was that the loop? I think it could have been. And Oxide makes a mistake. Tona not quite able to follow Sander, and Lolomax behind Neko and Zeus. So I think this is, yes, a safe 7-0 from CMC. And we are tied in maps.
Well, we had thought CMC had the advantage, but not by that much. That was they didn't really show any signs of weakness there. And Airven, they looked like they hadn't even really trained it. They were so crashy. That was weird.
Yes.
Could it just have been nerves?
Well, I think it was probably the training levels, because Lolomax looked fast but not consistent enough, and we know that he's one of the best desert drivers out there.
Yeah. I think one of the issues with the ongoing pandemic, of course, is a lot of people have a lot more time on their hands than they usually have, but for a few unlucky people, they're far busier than usual, and of course that can play into how much training time you get on this, which, as Kimi Räikkönen says, this is just a hobby for us.
Yes, obviously, Lolomax being an actual doctor in real life has to spend a lot more time working these days with the pandemic. So yeah, let's just hope that this whole situation gets better worldwide and that people like Lolamax can relax a bit more.
Yeah, indeed.
Let's talk about the map. No recognition by Snack, a TFS player. Well, I would like to draw attention to two things on the map. So this domed, I don't know how else you should call this, turn, where you have to go on the banked section of it. That has quite a few different lines. I think it is also buggy, and many pro players are not happy with it. So yeah, expect to see some variation in lines here. And there was a turn into downhill into uphill into turn section right here, which comes from the left on your screen into the checkpoints on the right, and hitting a good point to turn in is crucial, because that can gain you like a couple of tenths at least. And we can also talk a bit about the stats. So the world record, at least one that is known to us, is 106.77 by Roa. And that obviously won't have been shown anywhere on Dedimania or on TMX. And this is going to be an exciting match. Although, admittedly, there are only two dedicated, well, I say dedicated, two proper Stadium Pros on the CMC side, and I would say there are three proper Stadium Pros on the Airven side. So for the rankings, for the best scores for the players, CMC team didn't play this map in the playoffs so far, so there are no scores to speak of. Semco, Tona and Clem, however, did play it against Dano, and they recorded the scores of 955, 951 and 946 respectively, and they still lost against Dano. So that was quite a high profile game there. Of course, these scores will be lowered a little bit once Jumper Jack enters the new world record. But this is going to be a tough ask for the red side. And we're going to have Sander, Roa and Neko driving, and their best scores are 962 for Roa, 945 for Sander, and only 783 for Neko. But let's see. Roa is obviously a former semi-pro in Stadium. Sander, well, he used to be legend in Trackmania Nations days. This is going to be interesting.
Damn it. I was on a good time and crashed the final turn.
And the Airven guys are actually asking for more warm-up. That is interesting.
Yeah.
And Angel Hard is asking why are players risking the bug at the start? It's like 1/100th of an advantage and huge risk for a slowdown. Well, I unfortunately, like Quicksilver, have no idea what you're talking about, Angel. My understanding of Stadium environment is just not sufficient for that.
Well, there are a few bugs at the start, but I mean, right at the start, when you take a left, you can hit the Ramstein, and I think you lose about 0.2 potentially. hitting that, so it might be that, or it might be the nose line as you go towards the roof, or it might be the low geometry on the roof that if you take a tighter line, you have more risk of getting a slowdown or a nose slide from that. So as JJ says, yeah, the ram's down at the first corner.
Yeah,
So it's basically if you go tight, I mean, straight off the start block, if you go tight, you can hit that ram's down and get a slowdown.
We're into warm-up round number 4, and Sander has got pretty much sick of it, and he's just doing stunts away from the track. And I think Arrow has left to warm up on some of his environments. I think he has qualified for snow. I'm not sure, my memory's failing me, and I didn't keep notes. So, map number 3, Stadium, and this is going to be interesting, to say the very least.
Prediction?
Oh, I don't know. I have enough confidence, I think, in Rowan and Sander to say CMC. But if Airven take it,
it wouldn't be a surprise, put it that way. Yeah, it could go either way.
Indeed it is. So the lights are out, away we go, and we already have a crash from Tona right at the very start. He's 0.6 adrift. Clement fighting Sander for the lead. Sander with better lines, and a crash from Clem, which puts Sander and Roa in the first 2 positions, with Semco and Neko following them, and then Clem is fighting back, getting ahead of Neko. So it is basically all about Roa and Sander getting enough points and Neko trying not to be lost. The level is absolutely insane. Sander and Roa continuing to lead, followed by Semco. Let's switch to him. Can he do anything about the 1-2 that CMC currently have? Different lines there from Roa and Sander. I think Sander was the fastest there, and a big crash for Semco right at the finish. And 107.22 from the very first round for Sander. That is setting the bar high.
Yeah, Semco had to risk there to make anything at all happen, or to have any chance. Just that one position change wouldn't have been enough. I think all else they could have done was hope for a CMC crash at that point. And we do have Roa and Clement have dropped back a bit at the start. And Roa, Tona also. But not much. And Semco losing a bit of time on the dirt there. I'm not sure how that was. Did he get a bug? And we have 3 CMC drivers out front. Tona is fighting Roa to get into 3rd. Not successful yet, but he is making up time. Can he sneak past right here? Roa likes to get a little bit of airtime at the starting crest of that dip. It's just a good line that works for him. This looks pretty safe for CMC, or it should be, as long as they don't do anything silly. Oof! They do go a bit silly at the end there. Very, very tight at the finish. Completely unnecessary. But this time they get away with it.
Yes.
1, 2, 3 for CMC.
A double 107. The second one from Neko. Roa not with the best of rounds after his crash at the finish, but he still manages to get it with 108.5. A slow start from Neko and Tona, they're a little bit behind. The rest are pretty tight at the top. Let's switch right to the leaders. Sander marginally ahead. Clement and Semco with interesting lines there, but not quite able to get ahead of Roa and Sander, who are enjoying their first 2 positions. This is so close. Clem is trying different lines. Sometimes it does seem to work, but not in the long run. But this is what I was talking about. This bank turn, and both Airven drivers do sneak ahead, and this is going to be close at the finish. Roa seems to be getting into the lead, and yes, he did, and Sander finished third, and Semco crashed once again. Insanely close round, but it does go the way of CMC.
Yep, all change at the finish there. And look at the 3 sub-matches, first and second, third and fourth, fifth and sixth. CMC won each of those little fights. And oof, and Clem gets a rough line coming off the roof there. He must have had a bug, but he does catch up with Semco. Oy oy oy, Roa and Sander out front. They're taking some tight lines. Who takes this bump? Try to get a bump on that inside dirt, which tips the car down into the downhill to get a bit more speed. I call it the wormy bump after the infamous Finnish stadium driver. And Sander and Roa fighting over first place. I think they're just showing off at this point. Clement sneaks past Neko. Neko dropping into fifth there as Tona gets ahead of him also. They're going to be battling over Neko. Oof, with some good speed. Oof, and a little bit too much speed on the dirt. He had worked his way into third, but I pulled him back into fifth. Sander and Roa with equal times at the front there. Make it safe for CMC.
Both of them 107.72. Sander classified ahead because I assume of the fastest match time recorded from him. And Clem says that they don't really care about anything about this map. And Sander, I don't know, does he speak French? Because he said agreed. Anyways, 4-0 for CMC at the moment. In round 5, Roa is out in front from Sander, from Neko, from Clem. And Tona and Semco are a little bit behind, but Clem, with a better line here on the dirt, manages to get ahead of Sander. Let's see whether the Estonian driver is going to get that position back. And oh, Clem with a mistake. This doesn't look too good for him. Neko manages to catch up, and I think Sander is actually driving this map not with the joystick but with keyboard. Now that's at least what he used to record the first ever 106 on this map. 107.33 from Roa, followed up by Neko. Sander with a mistake at the end. Only 108.29.
Yeah, so some intriguing comments from Clement there. I wonder if Airven have taken a risky strategy of not training all the maps. Of course, if you decide, well, we don't have much chance on desert and stadium, let's just not train them too much. That gives you more training time on the other maps. And who knows, it might be a smart strategy, but it is a risky strategy. We'll see. Of course, I'm speculating that that's what they're doing. Clement may be just venting. But anyway, yet again we have Roa and Sander out front, chased by Tona, then Semco and Neko and Clement not far behind. Well, not far behind Neko, a second behind. Oof, he must have had a crash. As Tona makes it past Sander, and Semco is also threatening to get past Sander. Tona makes it into first place, and better line on the dirt there. Oof, it's not quite enough. That's a CMC round, but only by 1 point this time. So are Airven warming up now?
Yes.
And leaving it a little bit late for a comeback, but it could happen.
Tona with a 107.53, his personal best in rounds Zerimania. Manages to win the round, but it is map point for CMC at 6-0. We're into round 7, potentially last one, and let's see whether the French-Turkish side have any more fight in them. Clem saying that this is the worst map, and he's currently going for Daily Top 1, not anymore. But he's still first in this round, not after that crash though, and I believe Sander actually made a mistake this round. Let's switch to him. He's currently in 3rd, oh, not anymore, he's in 4th after Clem overtook him. Roa is still 1st, but there are 2 Airven drivers. Sander slightly better line here, Neko must have had a mistake. He's 3 seconds in arrears. Ooh, Semko with a mistake at the dirt section. Sander, and yeah, that is a bigger mistake from Semko. Drops him back. And it is 1-2 for CMC. And they take the map 7-0.
Yeah, Neko with an unusual slowdown after the dirt section there. I'm not sure what happened to him there.
He complained about his gamepad bugging in the chat.
Aye. And of course, Clem, all maps are either the worst one ever or they're amazing. There is no in between. Quite infamously opinionated, I think is one way to put it, to the point that some of us just completely ignore him at this point. But
Yes,
anyway.
absolutely. And now we're into map number 4, Island. The map is called Space, built by JTK. That is a trio of mappers: Jumper Jack, TM Jonas and Kiwi Ninja. Well, something to note in particular is of course this double helix section, which Sander just drove. And I think even without delving into the stats, I would favor the CMC team heavily on this one. What about you, Mix?
Oof. You know, I really don't know. Yeah. This is where I just don't have a clue on this one, to be honest.
Well, just going by what we can see on the CMC side, we have Sander and Zeus, which in most cases is already sufficient for a map win on Island. If that wasn't enough, they are backed up by Jumper Jack, who built at least some of this map. And then, let's go through some stats. The world record is 106.14, obviously driven by Norman. Who else? The best stats for this map for the CMC side: a 903 for Sander, 785 for Zeus, and 636 for Quicksilver. That was his best performance of the season so far. Jumper Jack didn't drive this map or any Island maps before. And yeah, so there are no stats for him. And the best scores for Sander and Zeus are 932 and 927 respectively. As for the Airven team, they obviously didn't play this map yet in the playoffs. The best they have is Tona's 836. Second best is Sib with 811. Third best is Lolo with 803. And I think that is the lineup I am expecting. But just in case, they also had Semko driving on TCQ's map, that was 796. They had Galba driving, the best he managed is 707. And there was also Maleki, but that was 448 And that, I'm afraid, is not good enough for Division 1.
Yeah, so CMC have a lineup change since the semi-finals here. We'd had Quicksilver driving it in the semi-final. Unfortunately, couldn't make it tonight. But of course, it was always very tight with Jumper Jack and Quicksilver in qualifying for that match, so it was sort of a last-minute call.
Okay, so let's go through the most interesting parts of this map. Oh yeah, let's start with the start, where you have this triple booster into a wide, well, the widest ever turn possible with infinite amounts of room, where you have to make into this narrow road section. There will be a variety of lines, some slides and some crashes as well, that we can guarantee. Then there is also a slight turn on this banked section, and something to note is obviously a double helix section. First one going up, then there's a checkpoint and a downward helix, and both of them are driven on the inside. And then there's the airport, the tunnel, and the final platform section. And something to note here, obviously, is this flat to banked transition, which is completely blind. And yes, I will repeat, completely blind. You cannot see any of the obstacles. But you have to keep quite a lot of speed. And Quicksilver says that finally JJ can fail his own start. And a couple of people supporting him. Yeah, let's see whether JJ is going to fail or not.
I think JJ favours the wider line at that big platform section, so it'll be interesting to see.
Wow.
I mean, it takes more time, but you have a better exit speed.
You can still fail.
Right, you can still fail. Yeah, good point.
It's not like even going super wide is safe. Oh, somehow my game was frozen for a moment, and we are already into round 1, where we have Jumper Jack, Zeus and Sander going up against Galba, Maleke and Sib. And who is the closest follower from the Airven side? It is Sib. He is currently in 4th, and Sander is leading away. Ooh, Zeus with a slide in this U-turn. So that is 1 and 2 for CMC at the moment. Sib attacking hard, but not quite enough. He's closing in on Jumper Jack. Let's see how safe JJ decides to take this part. Well, he risks just about enough, and then into this awful transition where JJ gets a better line and finishes second. Almost 2.01 seconds slower than Sander, who is in first. That is interesting. And my free camera is stuck in black, and I cannot do anything about it.
Okay. Well, that was a slightly scary round, as you mentioned that transition that is so tight and blind that watching the drivers going over that is kind of nerve-wracking. Anyway, here we go on round 2, and Maleke has dropped back a little bit, but he does get through the double helix section pretty well, so he's still in touch. At the moment, we have Sander and Zeus out in the lead, and we're going to be Zeus is going to be hoping that he has a more successful round this time. He did suffer quite badly on the last one, coming in trailing last by quite some way. So hopefully he can get it a bit safer. Maleka sliding at the back again, falls back even further as we go into the scary section, and no disasters. And Sender and Zeus look like they've got a safe 1-2. Jumper Jack in fourth. Another point for CMC.
Yes, Sander with another 107.
These guys are spread out a little bit in time.
To say
2
the
seconds
least.
for the first 3 places, nearly.
Oh, that's better than 2 seconds between the first 2 positions. And we're into round 3. We already had a double failure at the start for Maleki and Sib is already almost 3 seconds behind. Sander, as usual, occupies the first place, followed by Zeus, and JJ Galba was in the mix with JJ, but it slid away on one of the helices, and it is a CMC 1-2-3 with a big gap. Will anything change in this round? I think not. Although you can never tell. Interesting things can happen on this map. Galba closing in on JJ, but JJ probably just not risking anything. Why would he? Since they are already in positions 1, 2 and 3, Galba with a bit too much of a slide has to correct it, but drops some time. Sander with 107.22 already. Zeus almost a second behind. JJ follows it up with a 108 of his own, and 110.39 is the best Airven manage.
Yeah. So, certainly these first 3 rounds have been promising for CMC. I hope they can keep it up. And Airven struggling a bit more than I expected on this map. Sander and Zeus with strong leads straight away. And Zebra makes it into third, or does he? Jumper Jack grabs it back briefly. Well, they're going to have a mighty battle there over it. Not that it's going to make any difference, as long as there are 2 CMCs in positions 1 and 2, then that's enough to get the round. Jumper Jack doesn't even need to finish, but of course you never know who's going to crash, so you keep going until the fat lady rolls over the finish line. And as we go into this dangerous narrow section, and Sieber makes, oof, I thought he'd made a mistake, but I don't know if it's just an alternate line. Jumper Jack into third place there, and again a 1-2-3 for CMC, and again nearly 2 seconds over the first 3 drivers. That
Yes.
is intriguing.
Yes, and Sander with another 107. Zeus, I think, was ahead of him for much of the round, must have made a mistake at the finish. And Sander says that he's going for a 900 score on the Lolomax stats. And let's see if he's going to keep it up. So far he's right on track, and I believe this is the only map probably where Sander didn't record a score of 900 Lola points this season. We're into round 5, Sander once again out in front from Zeus, and then there's JJ battling Cybermix for the 3rd position. The French driver driving with a steering wheel so far prevails, but a Dutchman with his joystick does have something to say about it. It is close, they're exchanging positions, but Cybermix goes a bit too wide and then not too confident on this transition, and he is comfortably 4th. And Zeus and Sander with identical times of 107.76. Sander saying he almost died there.
Yeah, so that Airven not putting up much of a fight on this one. It's 5-0 at the moment, and so far we haven't really seen much in the way of signs that Airven can grab a point here. Oof. And they're making it difficult for themselves at the start there, as Siebermix has dropped way back. But Malek and Galba were in touch. Malek is struggling on the helices there a lot. 3 slides in a row. Yikes. And I think Zeus might be feeling his oats. I mean, he has 0.4 behind Deddy, but that kind of handy lead. I wonder if he's just going to be risking, and Galba crunches into the checkpoint. And Zeus has dropped back, so he looked like he made a mistake in the tunnel. I didn't quite catch it, but let's see what's going to happen up front here. Into the risky section, and they do take a pretty safe line through there. And it's another CMC 1-2-3 there, but this time with 108. And only 1 second over the first 3 drivers.
A bad round for Sander there, only 108. What's going on?
Kind of looks like Airven have given up here. I'm expecting them to start drifting on this. What I expect to be the last round, but you never know.
Yes, map point and potentially the last round. And who was that? Morgi says Sandra and Zeus in CMC 1 should be enough. No, what are you wrong about? Zeus didn't really qualify for any maps. Apart from those that didn't need qualifying. Anyways, into round 7, Sander once again out in front from Zeus from Jumper Jack, and I saw somebody from Airven sliding away at the second helix. And Sib is not quite close enough to Jumper Jack. Actually, he's almost 2 seconds behind. Let's switch to Zeus, who will be trying to get another 107, I presume. Sander still on, still trying to get that 900 Lolo points. Didn't crash here, didn't slide too much. 2 more turns to go, and it is 107.33. Let's see if he's going to get his 900. Zeus with another 107, and Cybermix just ruining his stats even further by not finishing.
Yeah, that's gonna look ugly on the statistics. The JJ stats.
It definitely won't for Sander.
Another map win for CMC, and that brings us to, is that 3-1 for CMC, I think?
Yes, that is correct. 3 maps for CMC, 1 for Airven, and now we're heading into snow. A map built by Madrick called Time Meets Obsession. And this is going to be a banger. At least that's what I'm expecting. The world record. Yes?
Sorry, the driver points for that last match. Sander with 42, Zeus with 30, and JJ only 1 point behind Zeus, 29. So yeah, that was tight for the driver points there. Well, for 3rd place anyway, 2nd, 3rd place.
Yes, some statistics about snow and this map in particular. The world record 56-29 by Roa. The best scores on this map from the CMC drivers, I mean, let's just go through those who qualified. That would be Sander with a monstrous 966, driven in a 5 versus 5, after CMC had taken the semi-final against TNT. So he was basically driving 106 with 10 cars in a match that didn't matter. This is phenomenal. There was Roa with 918, Aru with 873, and I believe these are the CMC drivers that qualified. We also had Neko with 8.2 and Zeus with 659. For Santa, Roa, Aru and Neko, those represent their best scores on snow recorded during ULR4. The Airven drivers did 939, that was Lolomax. Sib managed 935, but Oxide was a bit of a TE noob in that one and only managed 684. So, provided that they can keep it up, the Airven guys that is, this should be a thriller, and that's what I'm hoping to see.
Well, they're certainly going to have to pick it up because CMC have the chance here to win the match on this map.
Can you see that?
Zeus
straddled the finish, but didn't register it.
That's poor technique. Trying a straddle there, he should go for a Fosbury flop.
Oh, that was hilarious. Yeah. Also, points of interest on this map are right. Give me my free camera. Right at the start, there's this right turn into the off-camber right-hander. It is pretty much blind, and when you have plenty of cars around you, that's not so easy to see. Then not much else of particular interest apart from this tube. So you're coming from a high-speed section with a booster downhill with another booster, and you have to avoid crashing, otherwise you're going to have to respawn. Then there's this tube where there are some tricks which can gain you time, and that's about it. Do you have anything else to add about the map?
Yeah, I think, I mean, you did sort of mention that turn before the tube, but it is high speed and it's a tight line, and it's hard to take full speed without sliding out and losing a bunch of time. And of course, as you mentioned, that tube that has the possibility to gain maybe even half a second, I hear. You really want your entrance to that tube to be spot on. It's important. So I think watching that the downhill, first of all, the visibility can be bad because of cars. Depending what camera you use, it can be better or worse. Then going into the fast tight section and then the tube, I think, a lot can change there. That's going to be a critical point. And you already mentioned the off-camber turn near the start is another possibility for losing a lot of time.
Okay.
The tunnel after that has an interesting chicane that, can be crashy as well. So
okay, the lights are out. Away we go. Civic, Lolo, Oxide against Roa, Arrow, and Sander. And Arrow using the Sonic the Hedgehog skin. Goodness gracious, how he's able to drive like that. And I also saw some positives from the warm-up, because Sib did 56, 92 I believe, Lolomax with a 57 low, and Oxide with a 57, so there is some fight left in the Airven. Let's hope for a close match. Sander out in front from Arrow, from Lolo, And Roa fighting Sib and Oxide. A bit further back, Lolomax trying to overtake Aru. Not quite successful so far. Nobody is touching Sander. Let's see, Lolomax trying to get that second. He will be successful, but Sander stamps his authority with 56.98 from the very first round. But this does look a lot more competitive than the previous maps.
Yes, indeed. Hopefully Sander can keep that up, and the sound of Sonic's feet slapping on the wood don't put him off. I'm assuming he can see that model. It certainly appears that Airven Vince can see it and is not happy about it, one way or another. But, he's not driving, so who knows? Okay. Oof. And that was Cybermex crashing out on that fast turn. Everyone makes it through the tube okay. I saw Aru dropping back a bit there. I think he clipped an edge on the wood. He did. Yep, so he's going really slow right now. In fact, I wonder if Cybermex can catch up with him. Well, I think they both get back up to speed on that downhill. So Sander out front, and at the moment it's a CMC round by 1 point. We need Aru to come in, and he does. Oof. Close. Yeah, Clement does not like Sonic either.
And Sander going even faster this time, 56.8, Lolomax 0.82 behind. But that is a strong start indeed from Sander. And his teammates are just about able to support him. With 11-10 in the previous rounds, another quick start from Sander. Aru, I believe, is in last, and we have Roa battling for second with Cybermix and Lolomax. But as I mentioned, once again it is Sander out in front. As things stand, what happened to Lolomax? Dropped some time in the tube, and he is right at the back now with Rubiano. But as I say that, Cybermix actually getting into the fight for the lead. Sander managing to hold his own. This is going to be tight. And Sander with another 56 finishes first. Roa goes third, and Aru crashed at the finish, has to respawn. But that is enough for round 3 for the red side.
136 is good enough. More Airven drivers complaining about Sonic. Well, I say Airven drivers, but they're not actually driving in this, so it's curious. I've seen this kind of phenomenon before where one team decides something is a problem and it becomes a problem for them. For other people, it's just inexplicable. Anyway.
Oh my god.
Cybermex out in the lead, and we have an Airven 1-2-3. And CMC have had a messy round so far. Aru is trying his best to catch up, but he won't be able to do it on his own. Oxide with a crash. And that lets Aru get past, but it still leaves Airven with a 1-2, and it should be a pretty safe round for them as these last 2 turns can just make the finish. And they do. So they put a point on the board. That's 3-1. And we are seeing some fight from Airven.
Actually, even Sander crashed in that round. That is something new. And Aru, as JJ mentioned, fooled by the hitbox, and I think he just clipped a wall in the tunnel slightly. We're into round 5. Have Roa and Sander in the lead, and Sib, who posted the 56 the round prior, is attacking Sander, so he has warmed up by the looks of it. Lolomax also not giving up just yet. Actually, Lolomax is second in points, only 2 points behind Sander. And it is very tight at the top between Cybermix and Sander. Who is going to take it? So far advantage CMC, but Sib with a better line on that uphill. And he is able to win the round 56.85. Sander with a 56.95, followed by 2 more CMC drivers. 4-1 CMC in the lead.
Yeah, so that's another 56 for Cybermix and for Sander as well. It's interesting that Lolomax is in second place on driver points and he's pulling them in more consistent points. At the moment it's not enough to keep CMC at bay. Lolomax goes into the lead, but he is chased by 3 CMCs. Got this uphill. Does anyone get airtime? I think Sander did get a little bit. Seems to be a problem. Oof, and he's fast through that section. Yikes, and Aru with an extreme line through the tunnel, through the tube. He loses some time to that. Oxide gets past. But Aru fights back, and there's going to be a battle there over last place, which could be crucial. It's not looking at the moment. The main battle going on is over second place, Roa fighting Lolomax. And a 1-3-5 for CMC is another point. Sander with a 56-57 this time. Yikes.
Yes, he's raising the bar pretty high indeed with that 56 mid. Let's see, is he going to drive Daddy top 1 during the match? He still has some rounds to do that, especially if Airven are going to try and make a comeback. And ooh, Oxide crashed on that turn. Not a good look for the French side. Sib currently in the lead. Lolomax trying to do his best. Overtakes Roa, and on the approach to the tube, Roa with a bit more speed. Lolomax still keeping it neck and neck with Roa and Aru. Sib still first. Sander and Roa doing their best. Ooh, Aru hits a wall. That will be some time lost there. He won't be lost though, not with that mistake. And Sib with a 56.99 wins the round for himself, but with Lolomax only 4th and Oxide last. It is map point for CMC.
Yeah, that was tight though. Lolomax only 300ths behind Roa. And that, I mean, he could have made it into second even. You know, he was not far behind at all, so that one could have gone either way. Of course, that finish has potential for crashes. You want to go a tight line, but if you go too tight, you don't get the bump off the slope. And you can not make it over the gap. Or there's lots of other potential crashes. And Aru crashes the tunnel badly. So he's way behind. Does get onto a couple of boosts soon, so that gets him back up to speed, but it's still 3 seconds behind as we go through the tunnel, and that puts Roa into 5th place. He lost a bit of time in the tunnel. Sander out front, but 3 Airven right behind him. Roa's picking up some time. He needs to get himself into at least 3rd place. Oof. And he does have hope for it there with Lolomax crashing out. Oof, but it's going to be up to Aru. No, Lolomax has made it into 5th. And that's an Airven round.
Yes.
6-2.
Just about. And as Quicksilver mentioned in the chat, it's not just map point, it is actually match point. All it takes for CMC to win ULR4 is just 1 round on this snow map. unless the Airven side can come back to 6 points and force the tennis mode. And round 9, Roa in the lead, followed by Lolo and Sip. And what happened to Sander? Why is he only 5th? Is he going to make a comeback? And let's see. I think Oxide even made a good run there. Caught up with Sander. Arrow dropping back a little bit. Roa, however, manages to get into the lead, and Cybermix, with a bug I believe on the landing, will have dropped a lot of time. Roa wins the round with a 56.9, followed by Lolomax, 2 CMC drivers, and that is ULR4 taken by CMC.
Yeah, and a bit earlier in the maps than I was expecting. I thought this one would go down to the wire.
Well, that was a bit less dramatic than I was expecting.
Yeah, CMC just too strong there.
Rad commenting on what I said. Sander 0.2 behind first driver. What happened to Sander? Yeah, what happened to Sander? He's
What
supposed to
happened
be
to
first.
Sander? That's perfectly legitimate, I think. Yeah, but it's just a reflection of what we expect from Sander. Of course,
Yeah.
a legend of the game.
The expectations are so high that
right.
he cannot fail. So, we can congratulate our teammates, the first squad of Crazy Machine Chicks, winning the United League Reborn Edition 4.
Yes, and those of us in CMC2 and CMC3 can at least bask in a small amount of reflected glory. Or
Well,
something like that.
Actually, to add to that, CMC2 won the Division 3 after beating MST, who were demoted from Division 2. And
GG.
I think we're still going to play the last 2 maps. We're going to play them seriously. I hope, because we need some good stats.
Yeah, and I think people enjoy this Bay map anyway.
And we didn't even talk about the map. It is Denji Duo by Archon, and I'm not even sure whether it was a duo map built by him and Daniel, or is it just called Denji Duo? We'll
We
never
just
know.
get a check from, I think Angel Hard is probably in the chat too, will be able probably inform us of whether that's a hard G in there. Is it Dangle or Dangel?
It is Daniel. I asked Ceres, who is German, and he confirmed it was Daniel.
Interesting. I'm not even sure what that sound is called. I'm thinking, oh, is it a hard G or a soft G? And it's like, no, it's neither. It's that, whatever that is. That, Okay.
But I cannot say anything other than Denji. It doesn't work like Dengi? No. No way.
I don't know.
It will be Denji.
It's a dingy map. Okay. That's a good map. Apart from this weird finish, I don't know why there is this alternate finish that I think is probably harder than harder than the finish you're supposed to take. I mean, I think I tried it once and just missed.
I never tried it. I mean, I never failed the real finish. Just bragging a little bit about my consistency.
Well, there is talk of an NVN. So for those not in the know, that's rather than a 3v3, we go maybe 4v4 or 5v5 or who knows what. One disadvantage of 4v4 is that it makes draws a lot more likely, which can drag the match out a bit.
What's going on? Silver 101 leaving already. He was streaming in French. Is he not interested in the last two maps, even though they don't really count for anything? Come on, that is not how Trackmania streams should work.
Oh, he maybe he's maybe needs to get up early tomorrow morning.
Oh, he's rejoining. So maybe he just had some technical issues.
I see Quicksilver arriving on the server also. And being threatened by Jumper Jack. He's going to force me to drive. My current driving. Oof. I would not fancy. That round was terrible. But
so I'm not quite sure what they're going to do on this map. I'd rather just see a nice 3 versus 3.
looks like it's going to be. Oh, looks like 5v5. As long as JJ remembers to set max point, I think I'll just do that. Just to make sure. Oh, what are they doing? 5v5?
They're asking you to step out.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Alright. I'm just still showing on the scoreboard because. Yeah, let's just check the settings. What do we have? Yep, we're all good.
Yeah,
Point,
looks like
max point set to
we
10.
have 5 versus 5. I think it is a bit meaningless to talk about the stats. I'll just mention the world record, which is 101.52, which you can see in rounds, driven by Hawk from TFS. And it is a blinding start from Sander and Zeus. And I just want to see their battle unfolding. So far they're going pretty quickly, quarter of a second slower than the top one. Zeus is still ahead of Sander, they're followed by Neko. Quicksilver is in 9th. Let's see, it does look like it could go the way of CMC, it probably should, with them occupying 4 out of top 5 positions, make it 4 out of top 4, and Sander 102.36. And Clem misses the finish and has to reverse into it. Quicksilver, however, definitely didn't warm up just yet. Does he even have time to make it into the finish? And let's see, only just 120.63, 18 seconds slower than Sander.
Yeah, Quicksilver stats are going to be a bit messed up on this. Of course, this is one of the disadvantages of 5v5, as some of the drivers feel, oof, my stats. Yeah, it's put a different spin on things, the prominence that stats, the role they've played in ULR4. People paying attention to them now. So in round 2 we have CMC 1, 2, 3, or we had Leka and Lolo sneak a couple of places, but it's still a CMC round. Only just now. Ooh, and it's changing. Yikes. Still a CMC round. Okay, now we're making it a little bit safer. And yeah, with a 1, 2, 3 for CMC, that looks good. Quicksilver, he's struggling at the back. What's going on? I don't think he has the potential to catch up with anyone on this round unless there are big crashes. Sander with a 102.21 there. Chased in by Maleka. It's not. There's a followed by a red wave. Snatching all those points and making it easy for CMC.
And I see there are discussions about the maps in French. People saying how much they dislike the map. Well, they are just TE noobs, because this is a brilliant map and we already see some TE noobs crashing, sliding and crashing. That was Clem and Neko, and Lolo crashed, and I believe Malay? No, must have been Galba. Or was it Quick? I'm not quite sure, too many people. But anyways, round 3, it is Sander from Zeus. Zeus made a mistake. Malek is still following Sander closely. Aru not dropping back, and Malek crashed. We actually have 2 CMC drivers in 2 last positions, and where is Zeus? He is still in 3rd. I'm not quite sure, is 1, 2, 3, 9, 10 enough?
It is, yep.
Okay. So CMCs do take the first 3 positions. I believe Neko won't make it.
That's still enough. Still a CMC round.
Only just.
Yeah, I see. Cybermix talking about the Maga jump there. I think that's make Alpine great again. You're on the wrong environment, mate. I'm confused. Okay. 3-0 for CMC, and yikes, somebody bounces a little bit, hitting the edge at the start there. I think that was Silver 101. And lost a chunk of time, but not disastrous. Still has possibility to catch up. The other 9 drivers at the moment pretty tight. 0.4 as Galba hits the wall in the tunnel, but even that doesn't lose much time. Yikes, is there a boost attached to the wall or something? It's nearly when everyone goes for that inside line, tries to go inside the light. Quicksilver with a crash. That could put him into last place again. He will not be happy. He's going to be tilted after that. And it was Galba up on 2 wheels. What's happening out front? Clement has the lead. Sander is getting busy around his butt, but couldn't make the difference. And that, I think that's an Airven round. It's hard to tell, but yes, I believe so.
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
Zeus
easily.
crashed at the finish and he was going strong, I believe, and Clem actually finished with a good time. What's happening?
Can't be. It's a bad map. Clement's not allowed to get good times on bad maps. Or something like that.
Yes, and round 5, somebody going a bit too wide. Somebody sliding, that was a CMC. Sander, Zeus and Neko in the first 3 positions, followed by... Ooh, Neko! That was a bad crash there. He will drop a chunk of time for sure. So, Sander and Zeus are followed by 3 Airven drivers. Then I believe there's Quicksilver followed by Clement, but Quicksilver dropping back. I believe some CMCs should be making some ground up if they want to win this round. Clem actually made a mistake, dropped behind Quick. Sander and Zeus first and second, 102.03, fastest time of the match so far, but I'm not sure how this is going to finish. A red team wins the round.
Yeah, so 4-1, 4-1, yeah. Oof. I was getting ready to drive there. I had a massive brain fart. That was weird. Okay. So, Neko out in front. As we saw, somebody slid out there. Was that Clement, I believe? Ooh, and he has another site. Quicksilver with a bad crash. He's on his roof. Hanging by the straps, I guess. Maybe the marshals can get him out. CMC 123. Leka Galba Silver, not far behind at all. Was leading 6. Gonna have a fight. Silver 101 has dropped back a little bit. The CMC round for now. With Maleka up there. Ooh, no, he could make it into first and it wouldn't make any difference, but there's Sander and Neko get the first 2 places pretty safely. And that's a CMC round. Ooh. I think people are dreaming about rally next and their focus is not on the bay.
I don't know why people want to drive 5v5 or even more than that. I would really love to watch the proper trained 3 versus 3 with Aru, Raw and Sander against Sip, Oxide and Lolomax. That would have been the best way to finish this ULR4.
Well, they may still do that. You don't know at this point.
Doesn't look like it's going to happen because Oxide already left the server. JJ in the stream chat saying it's not gonna happen, which would make me extremely sad. And it is 5 for 1 for CMC, 4 drivers in first 4 positions, and Quicksilver in last 2 checkpoints behind.
I don't know if you're hearing those horns from Airven, but I think the temerity of complaining about the soft fap of Sonic's feet. I think they're extracting the Michael a bit there when you compare it to those horns. As usual, it's different when somebody else does it.
Quick Silver didn't actually make it in time into the finish line.
That's Oxide back. He may just have been sorting out his DX tweak.
But still, even with Quick not finishing, it is a map point for CMC.
Yeah, it's 6-1. Oh, let's calm this round. It's a CMC round. Just to challenge Airven a bit. Maybe that'll inspire them. Maybe that will jinx CMC into crashiness. Silver 101 contradicts me, and so does Olomax. Yikes. Well, it's a CMC round at the moment. By 5 points, I think. Oof, it's all changing. But changing in CMC's favour. Is that Silver 101's horn? It is. Yikes. I'm sure you'll be able to hear that on his stream. And Sander, Zeus, Neko with 1, 2, 3. Followed very closely, 300ths behind Clem. But that is a CMC round and a CMC map. And Quicksilver with the worst base stats ever, he reckons. Yeah, probably. Although he did make it into 7th this time.
Yes, 7-1 for CMC in this 5v5. Quicksilver potentially with the worst stats. And it looks like we're going to have a ton of people against a ton of people on the rally, and I'm just not looking forward to that. I would want a proper 3 versus 3 with 3 trained drivers on each team, and this would have been the ultimate rally match, with Sander, Arrow and Roa going up against Oxide, Sib and Lolomax. Why can't we just have that? And Lolomax says that he's been out for 40 hours. Damn, that is really unfortunate, and he has to play the grand final in this state.
Yeah, indeed it is.
You can actually drive if you want.
Well, it seems that way.
I'm definitely not driving.
Well, it seems like they're dead set on it. I mean, I can understand, as you say, the 3v3 with these ultra-trained drivers. Do you know what could be interesting for you? Keep track of those 6 drivers you're interested in. Keep the score for those 6 drivers.
That would be...
Yeah, do it like a virtual scoreboard.
that would be a bit too much than what I'm capable of.
Okay. So tell me who we would have.
We would have Arubiano, Sander and Roa.
Okay.
They should normally have Cybermix, Oxide and Lolomax. It looks like we're gunning for what, 12 versus 12? My god, this is horrendous.
I have to have somebody change teams. I think Zeus has forgotten that Jake is already a CMC veteran.
Wait, what are we talking about? We have 12 drivers in the blue and we have 13 drivers in the red. Why do we need more CMCs?
Uh-oh. Alright, looks like we're going.
I am not going to enjoy that whatsoever. Honestly, this is impossible to commentate on, and it just doesn't make any sense. As a driver, you cannot hope to have any impact on the round result. It looks like we still have... Nope. We don't have too many people, we have exactly 12 versus 12. And Quicksilver
Quick
retires.
retiring? That's
What's he doing? And yeah, it looks like we're starting the last map, Maximus 2 by Black Cat, a technical rally map. And I just don't know what to say. Let's see what Arrow is going to do. He probably cannot see a single thing with his Sonic skin. We currently have Oxide from Zeus, Cybermix, Arrow, Roa and Sander 6th and 7th. And Zeus, who didn't even qualify. Yep, he's doing just what he was doing in quali, going off that dirt section. So advantage Airven. It is Oxide from Sib, from Arrow and Sander, followed by Lolo and Roa only 9th. Things stand. It is a comfortable 1-2. Let's see if Arrow is going to go for the cut. Not this time. Sib though did. It is close. 103.4. They are tied for the lead. Oxide classified first. Arrow and Sander only 3rd and 4th. So that is 1-0 for CMC. Yeah, let's keep track of this at least. This should be more meaningful.
Yeah, so that would be, but Airven would have won that in a 3v3. That was an Airven round.
So round 1, that is Airven. How many rounds are we going to get there with 24 people?
Yeah, that's true. The rounds
Oxide
could finish early.
and Sander making mistakes at the start. Zeus once again with a good start. Arrow a bit too wide before this crest. Oxide, however, too far back. He is in 8th. He's still behind Arrow. Neko actually going for a wall bang. So it is Sib from Roa, from Lolo, from Sander, but no, Lolo dropping back. Arrow will be looking to get ahead of Lolo and Oxide. It is tight, but with Roa and Sander 2nd and 3rd, that should be the round win for CMC. Arrow and Sander both going for the cut. So Sib takes the round, followed by Sander, Roa and Arrow, and it is a round win for CMC.
In both 3v3 and 12v12.
Yeah, I'm not even going to pay attention to what is actually happening. And how did Legion not finish? It is Radley, not Island.
I missed it.
But the CMC still won the round. Arrow with a good start, but there are 3 drivers with a better start. That is the 2 wheel drivers of the Airven side, Sib and Oxide, and Sander with the joystick. Arrow though and Roa on gamepads, but they are still going strong. Sander with a mistake. And that puts Sib into first, followed by Arrow. There, followed by Oxide and Roa, and Sander only 6th. And that is with Zeus somehow driving in 3rd, but he obviously doesn't count for our 3v3. And he makes a mistake, and that is Arrow from Sib from Roa. If Arrow is able to keep his first position, he's not going for the cut. Sib is, and Sib wins the round, with Arrow, Sander and Roa finish right behind him. And that is another round win for CMC in my books, 2 for 1.
Hi. This could go either way. Raw complaining about the cutters.
Round 4, 2-1 as I counted, 3-0 as the game counted. Roa with a good start. What happened to Cybermix? He had an atrocious start, currently lying in about 10th position, let's say at this checkpoint. That is actually 13th. Roa and Arrow, the 2 gamepad drivers, in first 2 positions. But there's Oxide on their tail, I believe. And ahead of him there's Lolomax, Zeus and Sander. And things stay that way. Yeah, Oxide crashes, even Rad overtaking him. And this is definitely going to be a CMC round, whichever way you count it. Oxide and Sip both going for cuts. Arrow and Roa with 103, 44 and 61 respectively, and that is 1-2. And CMC take a round 3. And that's 4-0 in the game.
There's not enough columns in the driver points to keep track of everybody.
And you, unfortunately, aren't in the visible part. Unless I expand the section, which I'm not planning to do anytime soon. Around, well, it says 6, it should be 5. And we have Oxide and Cybermix with a quick start, followed by Roa, Sander, Lolo, and Arrow is in 6th then. So it is the real lineups in top 6 positions, and both Roa and Oxide crashed out. So it is Sib from Sander, from Lolomax. Lolomax, despite being severely sleep deprived, actually able to drive quite decently. I believe Ooh, Sib crashed the cut, and Sander and Arrow take the first 2 positions and the round with it. And I believe Axeter crashed. Are we even going to wait for him?
Oof.
And then Sib also dropped.
We can always ADM at end before...
I'm not quite 100% certain what's going to happen, so Axeter lagged out, but he's back. But Sib disconnected. What's that? Was that a rage quit? Well, it's sort of meaningless to track the scores when he's not here, unless Lolomax and Oxide are going to finish 1-2, which isn't going to happen with current standings, with Oxide out in front from Arrow and Roa. Sander, however, is probably struggling with these many cars around him, but he did get ahead of quite a few drivers, including Lolomax. Some people going for the cut. Zeus not getting the best of it. Arrow with a 103.19. Oxide 103.21. I don't know where Sib would have finished. And Axeter getting severe lags, and I will just have to put 5-1 for CMC. So Sib is back, but Axeter not going to finish this round. His net loss going into the orange area already.
Looks like we might just have to extrapolate from the results gained so far.
But that is not 100% meaningful. Well, if we do extrapolations, I would say CMC win. But would that have been the case in 3 versus 3?
That's true. All these other cars on track have an effect.
Absolutely. And you're just not going to be focused the same way as you would in a 3v3. I see Axeter is back, and this time we have Oxide out in front from Arrow, from Sander, Lolo, Roa And somebody crashed. I'm not quite sure who that was. Was it Sander? Yes, it must have been. He's 3 seconds behind. Arrow, however, is trying to get ahead of Oxide. Let's actually watch that battle. Will he go for the cut? He will have to. And he wouldn't even need to because Oxide made a mistake. Arrow 103.51. Then it is Oxide, Lola, Roa, and Sander. Where is Roa and Sander? What happened to Sib? He didn't even finish. What? I don't quite understand what's going on. But with 2 rounds without Sib, it is by now 6-1 for CMC. But this is not the kind of rally match I wanted to see in this particular grand final. Zeus and Sander in the lead, followed by 2 wheel drivers in Oxide and Sib. Oxide makes a mistake and lets Arrow slip by. Arrow actually on Sib's tail. Tactical wallbang here. And Sander dropped some time as well. And that is actually Zeus out in front. Followed by Sib. Arrow and Sander. Oxide not too far behind. Lola Max 1.5 seconds behind. Sib, ooh, this is neck and neck between Sib and Sander. Zeus and Arrow still there. I sense people going for the cut. Sib, Sander and Arrow all going for the cut. 103.03 for Sib, but he is followed by Sander, Arrow and Roa. That makes 7-1, but we did have 2 rounds without Sib. And that is 7-1, however way you count it. So that concludes this particular grand final. CMC are the champions. It was a bit anticlimactic, and the last 2 maps weren't really played the way I'd have liked them to be played.
No 101s in the rally map. I think Arrow and Sander would have been looking for it, but
so yeah, that concludes this stream as well. I want to thank the organizers, all the participants, all the mappers, testers, admins, whoever was involved, all the people who made this ULR4 happen. It was 9 long weeks which culminated today with this not really exciting match, which I was expecting. And that's it for ULR4.
yep, as you say, thank you to everyone who made it happen. You know, all the admins doing all the organizing, and map testers and voters and cut check. Who have I left out? Mappers, drivers, viewers.
Viewers, I think.
Yeah, it's been a good league. I think there are changes afoot for ULR5. I think a lot of people did feel it was a bit on the long side, and having this kind of playoff structure at the end is not desired, I suppose, is one way to put it, and that maybe just like a purer league structure and just leave it at that is going to work better. we'll
Yes.
see.
Let's see what the future holds. I want to say thanks to everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm not quite sure what's going to be coming on my channel next. I am going to take part in MSF, Mini Sunday Formula. I think that is going to be 2 weekends in the middle of December and 2 weekends in January. I'll certainly stream that. There's also going to be CCG, CMC Competitive Gathering, and I don't know, just do make sure to follow, and there definitely will be some more content. Do you have anything else to add?
Nope. Just everyone have a good evening and for the rest of the season, and take care.
Yes. Goodbye.